In Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, Conservation Officer Chris Egan follows up on a tip he received earlier in the day.
I had a local bait dealer this morning report. He found a large antlered buck, half in the water, half on the shoreline up at East Inlet Pond. Been there since at least Thursday, so 4 days at this point. It may have a bullet hole in the side of it. Potentially somebody illegally shot it out of season. There's no reason at this time of the year that a mature, large-racked buck like that would be dead by any other natural cause. My guess is that it had some human help in meeting its fate. Someone would be looking at taking a deer out of season. It's found in an area that's commonly spotlighted in the evenings by people looking for moose. So potentially it was shot at night. These are some of the most egregious and serious violations we deal with. At the very least, it would be potentially up to a $1,000 fine and a year loss of their hunting license privilege. That may be just the tip of the iceberg, too. That may be just one animal. It could lead to something really big. All right, let's see what we can do here. Oh, look at that. Ah, there it is. Oh, yeah, it's been there a little while. Bears have been feeding on it, or coyotes. There's parts of its jaw way back here. Just weird that it's right here in line with the boat launch where it, again, could have been somebody looking out over the water with a spotlight. It's kind of puzzling that this thing is dead here in this spot. See if we can find any evidence as to what might have done it. It's kind of strange that nothing appears to have been taken off it as far as just claiming a trophy. Some of this tissue that's over where the backstrap meat would have been is still there, and some of that might have been cut away if somebody had cut meat off of it. No part of the deer appears to have been removed. Somebody may have come down here, spotlighted, seen that deer on that point. It's not a very far shot, and just decided to thrill kill it and shoot it and leave it. This is the hole I could see in the photograph. It's not a clear hole with hemorrhage around it. When something's alive and it has a small caliber bullet hole put into it, its heart oftentimes doesn't immediately stop beating. Those little capillaries and arteries that are close by to that wound bleed, and I don't see any hemorrhage at all around this wound. So I think this is a post-mortem wound, probably pecked by ravens and scavenging birds. Nothing apparent on the other side, on the hide, where, you know, an arrow or a bullet went in or out. Theory number one's out, that potentially it was shot from the boat launch and dropped in its tracks right there on that point. So the road's not far that way either. My second theory is that it is within a 200-foot shot of the road through a lot of thick stuff. So I'm thinking that potentially it got bumped by a vehicle. Wounded animals go to water. There could be some evidence leading backwards from the dead deer up towards the road. Here's a deer track crossing right here. That's a running deer track. And look at that, that's blood. Without a doubt, that's blood evidence. That's what we're looking for. That's why I backtracked out to this point. That deer was bleeding here somehow. Now the question is why? It's going to be more difficult to backtrack it through here, but here's its running track. I want to know, is it already bleeding when it hits the road right here? Or did it start bleeding because it was hit by a vehicle out on the road? It appears like he was running. If I can find blood this side of the road, it would indicate that it was already injured when it crossed the road. Here's blood here. So that deer's bleeding well into the wood line here on the other side of the road. Theory number one, completely wrong. Theory number two, hit by a car, still completely wrong. Nothing on the body indicated it was shot. Why is it bleeding here? Something happened right here. This is all blood, deer hair, all in here. This would be something that I would see in November, that two bucks clashed and got in a fight, and one of them suffered a fatal injury. This is not the rutting season, it's 2 months before it. Deer hair here. I've located this disturbed area of ground. There's sticks that are turned up and rolled over. Things that had moss on the upper side of them are now upside down. This log was disturbed from right here. I'm just gonna go a little bit further up into the woods. That deer came down, that's his track there. That's his track there. He's moving at a speed that when he hit this wet stuff, it splattered mud way up in here. So he's going a good clip when he came down through here, pursued by some sort of predators, potentially. That blood and hair didn't get there just falling off the deer. Deer hair is hollow, so it sticks out. This is pulled out by the root. That's the little root right there. So whatever disturbed this, you know, had a deer, likely something pulling its hair out or dragging on the ground enough to pull a hair out by the root. There's deer hair here. Pretty good clump of it right there. This is curly. Oh, actually, that's a coyote hair. There's deer hair there and coyote hair. You can see the difference between this is deer hair. It's hollow, it's straight, it's whiter. It's not wiggly, curvy like the canine hair. Most canines, if not all, are pack hunters, so I believe at this point that some sort of an altercation occurred right here with a canine or more than one likely, and the deer. This spot right here is pretty suspect as to where that deer might have been laying. There's deer track here. There's certainly a disturbed area right here where something had laid down. So a pack of canines could have come right up on him, jumped him, just got him to there, and they were right on him that fast out of his bed. That's the case closed right there. I feel much better that this was a natural kill at this point. Not that it makes it any better for the deer, but it certainly makes it better in my mind that this wasn't a case of just wanton waste of killing a deer out of season and leaving it to rot. I've tracked my own deer, I've tracked friends' deer. You can't substitute that many years' worth of hunting experience in the field in a situation like this to decipher what happened. And again, it's all letting the evidence lead you directly to the answer.